first of all, this is so embarrassing to even come out and be vulnerable enough to share this with the world. Why?
You have everything to lose.
Yeah, why would they make up this lie and try to make the organization look bad? Oh, because Satan.
Yeah.
I'm done blaming Satan for these types of things. Why can't people take accountability for what they're doing? It's the story of the water sprite that saved a virgin from a fate worse than death.
And Sabrina's the virgin.
Oh, Sabrina's the savior.
Sabrina the savior.
This is Bre.
This is Yannick.
And welcome to the Look at Us Now podcast.
And they said it wouldn't last.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
This is really the final part of season 1. Yeah. Season finale. I hate when people break things up to part 1, part 2, but we kind of...
It's just a lot.
We had to this time. Sorry, guys. We just had to. It was just too much all in one episode. We didn't want to exhaust you. Yeah. So hopefully you're back for more.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Again, for all those that have continued with us on this story. I know that we've really taken you guys through it from the beginning and to here, and it's going to keep going. And I'm so excited and just appreciative that you're here. But for all the new people that are tuning in,
welcome.
It's been fun. If you haven't seen any other episodes, we highly encourage you to do so.
Check it out. They'll give you a lot of context.
Yeah, you need the context.
We laugh, we cry. We laugh until we cry.
Yes.
I mean, if you want a little more context, when that first episode, we were it was 2 a.m. We were crying on the floor here in the studio trying to get that out. We're like, what have we done? Trying to do a goddamn podcast.
What's wrong with us?
10 episodes in.
10, technically 11, but yes.
10.5.
Happy to have you. So, episode 10, part 2, Sabrina the Savior. Picking up where we left off in the last episode, which we were talking about waking up. So that is a term that in the Jehovah's Witness community, ex-Jehovah's Witness community, is used when you find out the truth behind the Jehovah's Witness religion itself and the cult that it is.
Yeah, it's like waking up from the Matrix,
Yes.
It's kind of like that.
I'd say so. Waking up from a bad dream, that's what it really felt like. And the moment Yannick woke up first. Yep. And it was that night.
And you were my ride or die because I was like, I didn't even have to wonder what you would do.
This is what it felt like. It was like these feelings, this unexplainable feeling that was just dragging on. The one thing that I was trying to pray about.
These nagging things.
Yes, all of these things adding up. And not even from the beginning of my past, because I know a lot of people I've noticed on social media will say, oh, you guys blame your past, my parents, how they treated me, how I grew up, being disfellowship at 15, all on, we blame that on the organization and that's why we left. No. Up until this point, I didn't even think of that as being an issue, as being a thing. I really didn't. It was old news. It was past. I accepted it. I knew that my parents weren't doing what they should have been doing. I didn't blame God for that. I didn't blame the organization for that. And it's insulting when people say that. But they need to have something for themselves to hold on to justify, I guess, the real reason why we left and for their entire belief system to not be crumbled. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so bitter about that one. Tell us how you really feel.
Crumbled. House of cards.
It makes me mad because I'm just that's really, really? All right. Yeah. Well, the people that are still in the room with us know that that wasn't it. We continued on in our journey, being very devout Jehovah's Witnesses. And when you said, I don't think that this is the truth anymore, it clicked. I didn't even ask
everything
you.
that was kind of up in the air, just all clicked into place. Everything.
Yes.
All the puzzle pieces fit. It made sense. Yeah. Exactly.
When you said it, I didn't even need to I knew. I was like, this is it. But the biggest problem is, so what now?
What do we do?
What in the world? And the thing is that when you are Jehovah's Witness and you come to this reality, the next thing is you can't share this with anyone. Because you're at risk of losing your entire community if you do so.
You realize that what you understand, because you have come to understand it, it now makes you an apostate and it makes you an enemy of everyone that you had ever known.
Exactly. So we had to tread very carefully. But before I feel like we get to that, all of that, I guess
We're just trying to understand, like, what
deconstruction.
if that's not the truth, what do we believe, and how are we gonna even navigate this with our
Yeah,
friends and family? Are we gonna like just kind of go to the meetings and like pretend, or
I
like
know.
what are we gonna do?
We've got a lot of help from the Reddit community, and I thank them for having that because it helped us to really kind of understand where we fit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also looking up other YouTubers that
Yeah,
had left and hearing other people's stories of leaving the Jehovah's Witness cult and just understanding that for ourselves helped us to kind of understand too.
yeah,
But I think the biggest thing was crisis of conscience.
yeah. So that deeply affected me when I
Mm,
read the book Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz. And Ray Franz, he was a member of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, as high as you can possibly be.
mm.
And what's interesting is Ray Franz, he wrote a lot of the books that we as Jehovah's Witnesses would study. And
That's so
he
funny.
was very, very deep in his entire life was dedicated to this.
That was bizarre to me when
Yeah.
I found this out because I was like, literally, we're studying publications from an apostate that
Yeah.
was written by an apostate.
Of course, it doesn't say that it was written by him.
No,
Everything's like deleted. His name is deleted everywhere. But
I didn't even
yeah,
know he existed.
yeah. He was completely deleted from record, but
And
he
that's my problem. I think, I'm sorry, this is kind of a
yeah, yeah,
tangent, but
yeah.
my problem about it is like, why delete him from history? If he's an apostate and he's trying to twist, the true religion, you should make an example out of him. Why don't we have, articles written about like this man, disgrace God
Yeah.
or whatever? Why is
Like
he
how
being
King Saul is
scrubbed?
spoken of as a
Exactly.
bad example,
As a bad
or
example and how he fell from grace.
Rehoboam, like all these bad examples. Yeah.
Why wasn't he in there? He was just erased from history.
Mm-hmm.
He was erased. And that's what bugged me because I was like, why didn't I know about
Yeah.
this? And if this is the truth, then why the truth should be just blatant. It's
Yeah.
just out there. Why does it have to be covered up in secrecy? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So then we had to dig into more.
Yeah, because this book, he wrote the book because he had a crisis of conscience being a governing body member of the Jehovah's Witnesses, where he realized that that the organization was not run by Holy Spirit, but it was a bureaucratic, legalistic amalgamation of people who some cared deeply about the Bible, but it was more run like a corporation with the simple politics of any business. And it hurt him deeply when he found that some questions that he had about doctrine, how they were handled, how people's lives were absolutely destroyed because the decisions of these men up top would trickle down without regard to how it would affect millions around the world.
Exactly. That was a good read.
Yeah.
Highly encourage if you haven't already read
Crisis of
that.
conscience.
Crisis of Conscience. And then for me, on the more emotional side, less intellectual, but on emotional side, it was very shocking to me, I guess you could say, when I was reading on Reddit the different experiences of young women that had been in a similar situation that I was at 15 when I got disfellowshipped. Now, again, up until this point, I never blamed the organization. I never blamed God because I felt like my situation was so unique and that I was dealing with these imperfect men that probably didn't handle the situation as they should have, but it was a test from God and I prevailed.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it all my life. And up until this point, because when I started seeing all these other women come out and speak about their experiences, almost line by line with how I was treated as a 15-year-old girl, being asked the same questions, I realized it wasn't imperfect men anymore. This was the policy.
Yeah, it was the standard operating procedure.
This was the
how you were
procedure.
treated is exactly how you were supposed to have been treated.
Exactly. And that realization to me hit deep because I was like, wow, I thought that I had been, just treated unfairly in that situation. But then I saw all these other girls and sometimes even worse situations of other people. And I was just like, whoa, this is bad. Or then I would hear things about the covering up of abuse and that pinged me too because I had experience with abuse. But I heard about situations where, like they talk about the Catholic Church. You have the
Oh man, yeah,
pedophilia and all this stuff.
they went hard on the Catholic Church.
Yeah,
And
Jehovah's Witnesses was like, this is what the Catholic
yeah,
Church does, but it's still the same in Jehovah's Witness land
yeah,
too. Like it's not much different. That's the thing. And they want to act like they're so different. And the same procedures that maybe the Catholic Church does to cover things up, the same things that Jehovah's Witnesses were doing as well. And you had people who had no reason to lie. And that's the thing is everyone, or the Jehovah's Witness religion wants to call apostates liars because I guess they benefit because they are furthering the will of Satan. I don't know. But I'm like looking at these women just bearing their souls online, on YouTube videos on this. And I'm like, they have no reason to lie. First of all, this is so embarrassing to even come out and be vulnerable enough to share this with the world. Why?
you have everything to lose.
Yeah. Why would they make up this lie and try to make the organization look bad? Oh, because Satan.
Yeah.
I'm done blaming Satan for these types of things. Why can't people take accountability for what they're doing?
And the taking accountability, when I was looking into finally, I started seeing things like the Australian Royal Commission.
Yes.
When I saw the Australian Royal Commission and the fact that all these other organizations, these religious organizations, were looked into by the government of Australia regarding child sexual abuse.
Yes.
And the Jehovah's Witnesses were resistant to every measure to help. The Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, all these churches were like, okay, we see that there were some issues. We're going to make things better. Jehovah's Witnesses were resistant every step of the way. And the per capita percentage for Jehovah's Witnesses was higher. And I said, how can that be for the one true religion? Why aren't things why aren't we the tip of the spear? Why aren't people imitating us and how we do things? Why does the government have to come in and tell us, hey, you need to fix some stuff because our citizens are being damaged by your policy?
Exactly. That was a hard hitter too. I know for a lot of people in the XGW community, the Australian Royal Commission was a big hit because that opened the eyes to so many people. And I remember watching governing body members that I would see on JW broadcasts talking, and when they were asked questions about our belief system, literally lie.
Seeing Jeffrey Jackson lie under oath, I said, you are supposed to be this courageous.
Shocked.
What happened to the example of the Apostle Paul just courageously saying, this is what it is?
It was I couldn't believe what I was witnessing because I was like, this has to be fake. I kept saying like, it has to be fake. Like there's no way he said this. But this was not manipulated. This was just the recording of the trial.
The government provided transcript recordings of the trial.
Yeah. And this was clear as day. And of course, Jehovah's Witnesses wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be shown that. And the fact that I could see this clear as day. That was so hard. The rabbit hole.
So deep.
Everything was unraveling at this point. And here we are. I would think I was in my third trimester at this point, or almost in my third trimester, about to have this baby and like trying to figure out what in the world are we going to do and how are we going to get through this? What do we even believe now? Mm-hmm. Like, what is life? Like, it was the most depressing. I feel like
it was devastating.
I feel like it was rock bottom for us. Like, all the things we had gone through thus far, guys, everything that we had gone through did not measure to this point.
It was a total destruction of our identity because this is what I was for 35 years. It wasn't just what I did, it was who I was. And for all that to crumble down, it was a betrayal because I felt like I had been lied to.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd been deceived.
Because you had been. We both been.
Yeah.
And our families were too.
Yeah.
And I think that was everyone, our families, our friends. We'd all been lied to. And
sorry, I'm just like it.
No, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to take in. Another thing that helped us to identify that it was actually a cult, because we've talked about this before. We kind of realized, it's a cult, whatever. Moving on, but when I looked at the bite mode, I think it's called bite mode or bite model, kind of goes through the characteristics of a high control religious group that would be considered not group. I'm sorry. It goes through the high control.
The characteristics of a high control religious cult.
Religious cult. There you go. Or just cult in general.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be religious, but going through it point by point and like understanding what makes a cult, I think that is really imperative for people when they're looking at Jehovah's Witnesses as a whole. If you can go through the bite mode and you can see there's so much control that Jehovah's Witnesses have.
Consider the behavioral control.
Yes.
Consider the information control.
Yes.
Consider the thought control, and consider how the emotions are controlled. Like, that is the acronym for bite. And when you go through it, you'll be like, ah, damn it.
I know.
We're in a cult.
Yeah, we're like really in a cult, and this is like actually not a good thing.
Yeah.
And even it's not the true religion anymore, so it is just a cult.
Yeah.
And that realization was so heavy, and it didn't take it lightly. It was very destroying.
Yeah.
I feel. I'm still worked up about it.
Yeah, I remember. So many long nights. You being heavy and pregnant. We're just thinking like, okay, if this isn't true, what is true?
And then going through every little thing. But all the while, guys, we were still going to the meetings. So we were considered, they have an acronym for this in the XJW community. PMO. It's physically in, mentally out. Mm-hmm. And this is what stage of I guess these acronyms that they have identify what stage you are in your journey of waking up. And they have POMO, which is physically out, mentally out, which was, I feel like, the final stage. Yeah. And then what else is there?
There's PME, which is
physically and mentally in.
Yeah, the standard adherence. And then there's, physically out, but mentally in. People who have like been disfellowship, but still are believers.
Yeah. So we at this point were considered PMOs, where we were physically in, but mentally out. So we were still going to the meetings because, guys, our entire community was based in this. We couldn't just walk away, because if you did that, then you walk away from your entire community. So we wanted to play this smart because we didn't want to lose our friends and family. Even though we felt this difference and we didn't want to be a part of the organization anymore, we still felt that there was a way that we could stay in partly to keep our community.
We thought maybe they'll be okay with us kind of being less involved. And they'll still kind of that they'll still be cool with us being around.
Yeah.
If we're not, just full on vocally like
apostate.
Apostate.
Which we didn't want to take that route, because we had we were welcoming a baby in like a couple months. Like, it was the last thing that we wanted to do. And we had a great community and we loved everybody. Yeah. And
it was such a great community that it drove us to want a baby.
So it was like the last thing that we wanted to do. Yeah. We were like, oh shit, how are we gonna do this? So what ended up happening is we would go to the meetings. We resigned to be PMOs, and we would go to the meetings, and we were trying to just figure out like, how are we gonna we needed to go to the meetings less, because this is starting to get really bad. We would sit through the meetings and we were like, oh my gosh.
Agonizing.
We had a TF tally that we did at the meetings. Oh, Jesus, scared you. Anytime someone would say a comment or the person speaking would say something absolutely nuts, because you see things differently when you wake up. When
you're awake, going to the meetings
I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how you guys stare.
Like, if you're awake as to what is actually happening,
I know.
Like, and you listen to the talks, you're like,
what?
This is insane.
It's literally like you're out of the Matrix and you get to see things from.
Yeah, like you step back and you're like,
whoa, what the heck?
I was drinking this Kool-Aid. Like, this is wild.
It's really sad. And then you see everybody around you and they're like completely glazed over. Like, they're just so in it. Mm-hmm. So in it. And I just remember that was the only way we could survive, was the TF tally. And we would just do that and we just laugh, because we'd be like that. We had to find humor in it because it was like so demoralizing. And that's how we like survived for most of the time.
And we'd be driving back home like, and one more thing.
One more thing. How come this and this and that?
And one more thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a constant.
I'm grateful we had each other.
Yeah.
We got really lucky.
I think that's something that's so difficult for so many people. They wake up and they don't have anyone, and that's probably why you hear so many people like blowing up, and like people who have like who go nuclear. We had a friend who went nuclear and just blew up on everyone. Like pedophiles and this and that, and like, fair enough, but there are more subtle ways to go about it. But when you don't have anyone to talk to, like, it just kind of makes it hard to not inside. And how do you work through the grief? Because we
had each other.
It's a grieving process.
It is. You have to grieve losing your entire belief system and replacing it with something else.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing too for us is that betrayal. We felt that the organization really took advantage of our relationship with God.
Yeah.
Because now we had to figure out who God really was to us.
Yeah.
Because the God that they had painted, this God that we were serving, this Jehovah God, was not
The God of the Watchtower was not the God of reality.
Yeah, and it was not the kind of God that we wanted to serve, because we knew that if we didn't agree with the governing body, that we could no longer serve him.
Yeah.
And we weren't satisfied with that answer, because I was like, no, I still believe in God. I still believe that there's good. I still believe in the Bible. Why do I have to give all that up just because I am no longer wanting to be associated with the Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah.
Why do they own all things God? It didn't make sense.
How do they have a monopoly on God?
Yeah, that to us was like, no, because Jehovah's Witnesses didn't create the Bible.
Yeah.
They didn't create God. Like, it's just, it totally was like, no, this is not right. We need to find what it is, because we clearly know that this is not what it should be, I guess, if that makes sense. But so now we had all these things. We were still going to the meetings, and we had planned that when Sabrina came into the picture, that we would still go, you know, maybe once a month. You know, we had kind of a grace period. This was actually done at such a great time for us.
It was kind of perfect.
Because we were feeling these feelings that we could kind of ease up on our attendance at the meetings and going out in service, because I was so pregnant.
Yeah.
And we were due any day. You had parts that you had to,
I
or
started
assignments.
at that point, because I just couldn't in good conscience give any part. Like, I couldn't go up there and say things that I knew were lies.
Yeah.
And that's what was expected of me. So I had to start declining all my parts, declining all my talks.
And your assignments, all the accounts and all the...
And I remember I did the last, my last assignment was an audit of the congregation accounts. And, you know, I did that honestly, of course. But during that time, I was just so frustrated at everything. And the brother, he was like, are you going to have this ready? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have it ready. He says, are you sure you're going to have it ready? And I was like, I told you I'm going to have it ready, didn't I? And I never, like, I'm so like a soft-spoken, mild person at the Kingdom Hall. That response surprised me, and it surprised him too, because he was like, "Whoa, brother, whoa!" And I was like, "Get off my case!" Like,
you're very frustrated at the whole
so
situation.
frustrated. Yeah.
And I think we were both looking for a way out. So now we were having Sabrina. Sabrina was coming into the world, and guys, goodness gracious, we really didn't want to. We didn't want to, like we've already talked about before, the last thing that we wanted to do was shake anything up, because our entire community was like, we were all
rock the boat.
sitting here. Like, if we were to make any moves right now, it would be detrimental, because we were literally going to have a baby any day now.
In our greatest time of need.
Yeah, in our greatest time of need. My midwife was a Jehovah's Witness. So I had planned a home birth, and we were going into this, and I was like, we obviously can't say that we don't want to be Jehovah's Witness. We were very confused at this point.
It was incredibly difficult to navigate.
We were so confused, and we were trying, but we were just like, let's just have this baby.
Yeah.
We had her.
I think it was a very pivotal moment for me when things started going downhill during the labor, and I kept saying, you know, hey, are we gonna go to the hospital, because like we're starting to hit some critical time limits here, and finally we came to the realization that, like, yes, we have to pack things up and go to the hospital so that we can save Bre and save the baby. And I was just sitting in the closet before we made that decision. I started praying, but I didn't know who to pray to, because I felt like the Watchtower had stolen my God. I felt like I felt like the God that I'd prayed to all my life, I realized that he was fake, and it was crushing. It was a crushing blow to me that this comfort that I'd grown up with didn't exist.
But you prayed anyway.
Yeah, prayed anyway.
We prayed anyway, because that was all that we knew, and it helped. It did.
Yeah.
And we got in the car and we went to the hospital. It was just a really difficult labor, and we didn't have the right help that we needed. But I trusted in this midwife who was in our community, and it wasn't a good choice. And I was at home way too long, 40 at this point, 40 hours, 36 to 40 hours of labor, nothing happening. And we were at risk for sepsis. And I think the whole situation around our birth of Sabrina was staring in the reality of death, I guess, like for the first time. Because the thing is as Jehovah's Witnesses, we always grew up thinking that, if you die on this side, you'll be resurrected in human form on the earth, as long as you are, a witness of Jehovah and you remained faithful to him. So I kind of had this just different idea of death.
Yeah.
And
that, there might actually be some finality to this.
Yeah, I felt like I had 9 lives, to be honest with you, before, and then now at this point.
But that was a common thing. Like, if I die, it's fine. God will resurrect me.
Yeah.
Like it was not, death was not considered a big deal.
No,
in
and
some ways.
they don't believe in that most people go to heaven. So that's not even a finality either. So they're literally 9 lives. You get resurrected and you get to do it all over again.
It's a respawn.
Yeah,
reset.
Exactly.
Press reset on the Sega.
Exactly. That's how it felt. So this was the first time in my life where I was like, wait, no, I don't.
This is the one life I have.
Yeah, in my life right now, I didn't prepare for this situation. Yeah. I didn't prepare.
Yeah.
And I was so scared. And I think when I mentioned that in my birthday post about this risking my life, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because it was a very scary situation. The nurses and the doctor there, they were like, no, this is bad. This was stupid. You should not have been in this situation at home. You could have lost your life and your baby's life. And now you're at risk. We were at risk.
Yeah.
Everything ended up obviously going well, but that was just a realization, I think, for the both of us.
Yeah.
The finality of life, or no.
Yeah. The finality of life. Yeah.
Yeah. And
the finality of death.
And I think it also made us look at the religion in itself a little bit more bitterly, because I felt taken advantage of.
Yeah.
How you were saying when you were praying to God. And I was just like, this is sick.
That we were deceived into living our life a way that's fake.
Exactly. So at that point, after our birth, we decided to plan our official exit. We didn't want to be PMOs anymore, physically and mentally out. We wanted to be POMOs, physically out, mentally out. We didn't want anything to do
We couldn't do it
with Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. We didn't want our daughter to have anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. And we knew what that meant on the other side, which meant that our entire community would have to find out, and we wouldn't have anyone to support us.
Yep.
First, didn't want to hit it straight on, but there was questions that we couldn't quite ignore from our family and friends. Yeah. One being, once we decided we didn't want to go to the meetings anymore, when are we going to take Sabrina to the meeting? Because she was just newly born and everyone wanted to know. And I would give every excuse in the book, and I was trying to put it off as much as I possibly could. But there came to a point where we couldn't put it off anymore. Yeah. And we had to be honest, because we could have just lied to everybody. We really could have. And it was tempting, because I felt like lying would have been easier.
For the moment.
For the moment. Because we could have just we're going to take her later. Or we could have we even played around with the idea of just going to a meeting here or there to get people off our back, going to a memorial, going to assembly, going to convention, and that's it. But it just didn't feel authentic. It felt like we were being hypocrites, because I didn't want my daughter to look at me, hear things at that Jehovah's Witness meeting, and say, Mom, why am I not doing this? Or why are we not doing this? You guys know I was very close to my Nana and my grandpa. We were living very close near them. And so we'd hang out every now and then. And I remember the questions started getting more intense and more intense. I think they kind of sensed something, because there was a shift in us. We were a lot more aloof. We felt that we didn't want to put ourselves in certain situations and conversations that would put our integrity at risk, I guess, because we didn't want to lie to anybody. Yeah. We just also couldn't be completely upfront and forward, because we weren't ready for that yet. Yeah. So we just tried to be under the radar, and I think people started guessing, but they were the first line of defense, because we were the closest to them, and they were, in the beginning with us throughout the entire postpartum period.
Yeah.
I remember going to this cafe, and Sabrina was 2 months old, and we finally going out and about at this point with her, and my Nana asked me the question again.
Yep.
When are you taking Sabrina to the meeting? And I just remember at this point, I was like, I can't lie anymore. I can't, or not lie anymore. I wasn't lying before, but I can't keep avoiding this question.
Are we going to push this off forever?
Forever.
Is
And
she going to be like a 5-year-old? Like,
why are you taking her to the meeting? Yeah. So I said, I'm not. And she was like, ha ha ha, like, never? And I'm like, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't really know at that point, but I was like, well,
That's what we felt.
yeah. And that's when kind of it all unraveled. The thing is that when we went into that conversation with him, I remember both of us were like, please, we're not going to go to why. We want to keep it completely like, this is just, we don't want to lie to you. This is how we feel.
Yeah.
But we're not going to answer anything super in depth because we don't want to compromise you.
Yeah.
And we knew that going into it because thanks to Reddit, we had learned like kind of the verbiage, what to stay clear from, how to navigate this in a way that we could possibly save our relationships with our family and friends. Because that was
the goal.
That was the goal. And we realized that it was almost near impossible because they're not satisfied with, well, this is a personal thing between me and God. They're not satisfied with that. They kept pushing. Everyone keeps pushing. Yeah. And we still were like, no, we're not going to give this to you because we don't want to be put in a situation where we cannot speak to you again.
Yeah.
And we literally would say that. And then they would back off, but then it would come back around. So I remember one of the main moments when I was talking to my Nana. You guys already know, if you follow along this journey, how close I was. I was like my mom. When she told me that she could not have a relationship with me, she said, this plain as day, I cannot have a relationship with you if you talk against Jehovah. And it's not talking against God, it's talking against the organization is what she meant.
Yeah.
And I had no plans to talk out against Jehovah at all. Like nothing in my mind wanted me to do that. I didn't want to go on social media. We weren't going to do this. Yeah. No podcasts. No, hell no. I had no desire in my heart. I wanted to just leave quietly and just live my life.
Yeah. But
when she said that to me, it showed me that her love for me was completely based on condition. She loved me in her own way, yes. I don't want to discredit her love for me, but
it was on that condition.
If I talked bad about her God, or if I said anything that she didn't agree with in the sense of like what I believed in, she couldn't have a relationship with me.
The condition was that you had to believe what she believed.
Yeah.
And you were not allowed to even consider an opinion otherwise.
Yeah. And that hit. And I knew, I remember looking into her eyes and seeing when she said that to me, I saw just this glaze over this.
The goodwill.
It was like the programming kicked in. We call it a kill switch because we started getting very familiar to that kill switch when we started
saw it over and
telling
over
other
and
people
over again.
And trying to bargain and be like, hey, let's
do
not
it
talk
different
about
ways.
this. And do it
like,
different ways.
Trying to be incredibly sensitive. And, hey, like, I don't want to be offensive in any way. This is just something that we're going through right now. Or
we're trying to figure this out.
We're trying to figure some things out. Like, we're just taking a break. But no, it's like, are you gonna?
What do you believe in now?
Yeah, or what do you believe in? Do you believe in the governing body?
Yeah, the questions, that programming questions started coming in. Do you believe in the governing body? Do you believe that Jehovah's Witnesses are the only true religion? The programming started kicking in, the kill switch, and it was devastating to see that to some of our closest family and closest friends, and we became the enemy.
Yep.
We were no longer, the only thing that they wanted to hear from us in a conversation, whenever we started it, was that we were going to return to the organization. Yeah. Like, okay, but are you going to return to Jehovah? Okay, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but are you going to return? Or are you going to talk about this to anybody? Are you going to talk about this to anybody? Yeah. And I remember everyone would ask that. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
And that's why, like, it's so funny. If that response hadn't been the consistent and expected response all across the board, I don't think that we would be here right now.
Absolutely not.
Because like one of the things that happened to me, my family, I had a conversation where my brother called me and he wanted to know, when we're.
Well, this is, I guess, the after we told Nana and Grandpa.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that my Nana had said to my cousins, who said to other people, because the news travels fast. Yeah. So it had already gotten around that we were apostates, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And so people were coming out of the woodworks calling us.
My phone was going off all day long about
Yes.
like from North Carolina numbers, South Carolina numbers.
But your brother, that's
yeah.
why he called,
Yep.
because he
And
heard something.
he had to police me, as is their jobs to police people. And when he called and he asked me if I was going back to the meetings, I remember thinking to myself, I have an opportunity right here to lie and squash all of this and kind of fly under the radar for who knows how many years. Or I could just come out with the truth, as sensitive as I can be, let the chips fall where they may, and I don't have to be worried about how I will play both sides of the coin to my daughter, to my family, to my wife. Like it's, do I want to be somebody who's compromised or will I just deal with the repercussions?
That's a hard realization.
And I told him that, you know, we're not going back. And he asked why. And I said, well, you know, there's certain things that I feel have been not done right. And, you know, kind of started going into it, you know, the whole, I think one of the big things that we kind of stuck into was, you know, prophecies and, you know, failed prophecies and et cetera, et cetera. If you're Jehovah's Witness, the whole 607 BCE thing, where Jerusalem was not destroyed in 607 BCE. And then if that's not true, then Christ's parousia or his presence did not occur in 1914. And if that's not true, then Christ didn't choose Jehovah's Witnesses as the one true religion on earth in the early 1900s. So everything was a house of cards. And when that started falling, you know, it all crumbled as we said. But when my brother went into that, I really didn't want to, but he did. And so he went back and told the rest of my family. And I think what hurts most is that I never got a chance to have another conversation with my mom or my sister about, you know, the grief that all this was, or even about my daughter, you know, that the first Rook grandchild, the only Rook grandchild.
They didn't even meet her.
They didn't even meet her. And I didn't get to have a conversation with them because after that conversation with my brother, every time I tried to text or call my family, nothing. And I texted my brother, did you get everyone to block me? And I haven't heard from them since. So I realized that their love for me was conditional to the point where they could throw me away like garbage if I didn't agree with specifically what they believed in.
Well, my thing is they didn't even give you a chance to defend yourself at all.
Yeah.
They just listened to your brother, and then that's it.
And
not even giving you the own dignity of saying goodbye, at least.
Yeah.
Not even that.
I at that point, I knew that kind of love, if it could even be called love, it's not what I wanted my daughter to know.
Yeah.
I could not have my daughter learning that people could love her and then throw her away, discard her if she doesn't fit their agenda. Yeah. I love my daughter because she exists.
Yeah.
Not because she believes a certain thing.
Yeah.
And that's what hurt the most was that they threw away their son, their brother, as if I never existed.
Yeah.
They discarded me, and
sorry. Yeah.
That's something that I still
to swallow.
Yeah.
It's a hard one. Because that was surprising to me. I thought that they would at least, you know, dignify us with a conversation.
But, you know, I knew that that's exactly how they would act when you said,
knew.
well, maybe they won't. And I said, no, this is how we were raised.
Yeah.
This is what they will do.
Because this is what we would have done.
Because it's what I would have done growing up.
Yeah. Those kind of phone calls continued for months, guys. And this was, mind you, we were still newly postpartum. Sabrina was only 3 months at this time. And a lot of people didn't even get to meet her because of this whole thing. And it was the rumor mill that really frustrated me because I was like, a lot of people didn't even give us the dignity. Some people would call, but it wasn't to call to tell us, or they would call us not to hear us out, but to tell us, to inform us that they didn't want a relationship with us anymore until we came back to the organization.
Yeah.
Literally, we had several people call us,
Literally,
text us, and tell us we cannot hang out with you anymore.
the whole point of the conversation was to say, I'm cutting you off.
And best of luck. Let me know when you come back. Bye.
Love you.
Love you. Jehovah loves you.
Yeah.
Bitter as it might be, that sucked. That, and you know, I look at that and I say, thank you guys. Thank you, each and every one of you, for doing that, because this is why we're here.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing this, because we're not the only ones that this has happened to.
Yeah.
And we won't be the last, unfortunately. Our son Sebastian is another addition to as our guest.
He's joined our audience again.
Hi.
Hi, buddy.
As we get to the last of this, but yeah, so the back-to-back phone calls that we received were just exhausting at this point. Hey, buddy. Very exhausting. And at this point, we started not even wanting to talk to a lot of people that would, you know,
Yeah. And
come to us.
I'll get to where I was just like, listen, I know how this is going to go. I don't agree with how the governing body has handled the organization.
You just started getting really quick with
this
it.
and this and this. I understand if you can't talk to me, have a good life.
Pretty much. That really, really sucked. Now it was Project Ghost.
Yeah.
We had to ghost, not people. It wasn't people. It was more or less the congregation, because we didn't tell anybody in our congregation. We didn't tell the elders because we didn't want to be at risk of being disfellowshipped.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to go through that situation. Because if we actually shared how we felt to the elders in the congregation, we would be disfellowshipped like I was at 15. And then officially our families could have nothing to do with us. I mean, it wouldn't have even mattered at this point, because we didn't expect it to be this harsh. But
I think at this point, though, we just didn't want to give them the power. We didn't want to accept their authority. So we didn't want to play by their rules, because we thought, we realized their rules are made up. It's a fake game. It's rigged.
It's rigged.
So I'm not going to play your rigged fake game.
Yeah, you don't play. So we ghosted. When the circuit overseer, because I didn't know this brother. I didn't know this person at all. He just came to the door. Where's Brother Rook? Whatever. And I remember you were saying, like, don't ever come to my house again. You were pissed because you heard the conversation.
I was so upset at that.
I answered the door. I didn't even know who it was. I was just.
It was in the middle of the day, so I was working. I had meetings going on, and they're like, "Where's Brother Rook?" And
they were trying to get us. It was like, I felt like it was the KGB. They were trying to like come in and like question us, and it felt like that. It was very ominous, and it just felt weird. And I was just like, leave us alone. Like, let us just live our life, you know? I'm sure there was people that were actually genuinely care about us. Like, there were some sisters that would come up, and I felt really bad. Like, but I knew that they wouldn't understand. And
at that point, what can you do? You know, because like, what are you gonna say?
What can you do?
Are you gonna say like, look, I appreciate what you're this attention that you want to give me. I appreciate that you want to show love to my daughter. But if I tell you how I feel, you will cut me off like I was a dead person.
Yeah,
So
it was a really hard, sticky situation. So we just continued that, but we knew that wasn't going to be what we wanted to continue doing. And that next step was to get out of Temecula and move out of our house. Yeah. Now, the thing is that we had a financial situation that was still tying us to my family. And we had to play it really cool because the house that we lived in Temecula was actually my great-grandmother's house. And we were set, when we moved to California, we had planned to renovate the house and then turn around and purchase it from her eventually. And we were still in the process of wanting to do this, but we had felt this just ominous air that kind of was looming over the situation. We had already put so much money into the house.
Yeah, time and money. I did a lot of the work myself.
Yeah, and because of that, and they helped us too, but it was just getting really sticky. And I remember at this point, my grandmother was still talking with us. This was like 4 or 5 months. No, this was even less than that. This was like around 3 or 4 months into postpartum. Sabrina was 3 or 4 months old. And I remember having very, very basic conversations with my grandmother. At this point, it was almost non-existent. But because we still were in this property, they kind of had to keep up with us.
Yeah.
But I remember her always constantly having conversations, like trying to get me to to say things that would deem me an apostate. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to
It's like,
say
drop
this.
the subject.
Please
If
stop.
you
I
are
want to, I
pushing
just
this,
love you and I want to have a relationship with you and not
stop
talk
pushing
about any
something
of this.
that you're trying to make me offend you.
And she couldn't. And she told me, she's like, I can't do this. She said, I can't do this because this is everything. And I understood because it was her entire identity. And how could I ask her to not talk about her entire identity? It was unfair for me. And I knew that, but I was like, well, what do we do? So our conversations with my Nana and Grandpa got less and less and less. And I think one of the last conversations that we had was my grandmother made it very clear to me that my great-grandmother, who owned the house that we were living in, was getting very uncomfortable about us staying there. And I mean, take that as you will. They weren't kicking us out. They weren't, being unfair to us in that sense. But it just felt like they didn't want us to be there. And I thought our prospects of actually buying the house from her were very slim at this point because we didn't agree with them and their religion.
Yeah.
And so we decided to leave. It was a loss for us financially, for sure.
Yeah.
And a loss at the relationship because now they had really no reason to speak with us anymore once we left. But it was the singular best thing that we could have done.
Getting some distance
was the best. It was so good. Getting out of an area where the congregation knew us, getting out of an area where our family was, like that was so good in our healing journey and moving forward. And I recommend that to anybody that's trying to leave.
If there's one thing that you can do,
leave your area.
Start fresh.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because that meant literally. Sorry.
That was the house.
That was nothing. I loved that house. And I love my family. And I thought my children.
You thought they were going to grow up there.
But it was the best thing. We started our new life. Yeah. And now we were starting a new life without any community.
But it was ours.
No
strings.
And it was free.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Elphaba in Wicked.
Yeah.
What does she say? And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. And we were, in a sense, solo together. Right.
It was those first few months in OC were terrifying but exhilarating.
It was.
The weight of the world was lifted from our shoulders, and we could actually try to figure out where our beliefs were. Yeah. We could actually figure out what the world around us meant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it felt good. It felt good to be out of that. And again, that's what we recommend. But it's also still incredibly difficult and sad being that we were struggling new parents and trying to figure out where we belonged and everything together. At least we had each other. And that's why I feel like we were inspired to make this podcast too, because we prevailed through it all. Yeah. And we're still fighting. We're still
figuring it out,
prevailing. But yeah, new world, new parents, no community. How did we survive? That's for season 2.
Oh, what a cliffhanger! But you've been with us up until here. We look forward to seeing you again on an exciting new season.
Ultimately, the theme of this episode is Sabrina the Savior. I think a lot of people think that Sabrina, my baby girl, our firstborn daughter, was named after me. She was not. Like Bre, Sabrina. Yeah. No, she wasn't. She was actually named after my favorite movie, our favorite movie, Sabrina. Mm-hmm. Both the classic with Audrey Hepburn and then
the newer one with Harrison
Ford. But there's a specific reason why we decided for sure on this name. There's a poem that's referenced in the movie, the Harrison Ford version.
Linus Larrabee is in the plane with Sabrina Fairchild.
I'm going to read you guys the poem because we're romantic like that. If you don't like it, oh well. Sabrina Fair, listen where thou art sitting under the glassy, cool, translucent wave in twisted braids of lilies, knitting the loose train of thy amber dropping hair. And then Linus says,
so your little poem, what does it mean?
It's the story of the water sprite that saved a virgin from a fate worse than death.
And Sabrina's the virgin?
No, Sabrina's the savior.
Sabrina the Savior. Because ultimately that's what she did.
She saved our
saved
lives.
us.
She
She
saved
helped us to see. She forced us to face the truth.
Her existence.
Yeah. And we'll forever be grateful.
This is
for
for
her
you,
existence.
Sabrina,
Yeah.
our girl.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for a wonderful season. Thank you for letting us. I don't know if you can hear Sebastian, but thank you guys for being on this ride with us and for this beautiful community that we've built.
It's been a journey.
And we're building.
Yeah.
It's been a journey, and we love you, and we will see you in the next season.
Hey, look at us.
Who would have thought?
Not me.
Never in a million years. Holy crap.
XOXO.
XOXO.